Good morning.
Good morning.
So, today's plan. We're going to try to put windows in the tiny house.
Yes.
I think we could finish putting all the windows in. There's 4 left. Windows aren't the hardest now that I've done these and all on Jared's house and stuff. But we're going to run into town. Jared's texting me right now. We're going to run into town and then get some other stuff for the tiny house. I'm going to hopefully be able to get the bracket so we can start building the deck part on the other side in the bathroom. Actually have an inside bathroom, and Melissa and I have been talking a lot. We're weighing options and things of that nature for her. Shed to house, tiny house, micro house, house in the woods, whatever you want to call it. We've looked at a lot of sheds, both of us, and we kind of threw the idea out there. What if she built it?
Yep.
It would save a lot of money. The reason we started thinking this way is because she did have to spend a lot of money on her mouth, and so that kind of lowered the budget a little bit. So pretty much if we can find the shed she likes, basically build it ourselves, it would save a lot of money, especially over the long run of having to do the rent to own and all that. And I mean, you kind of want to build your own, I guess.
Yep. I think essentially when I thought about doing this for myself without this experience being there, I always wanted to do it from the ground up, do it all.
Yeah.
And so when I came out here and we started tossing around ideas, yes, it did, make sense when we started talking about it. Go buy the shell, start there. But life happens. We're just kind of in a different position now. And I think the more that we've talked about it, the more that people have brought it up, made the comments and things like that. And really, again, the more in-depth conversation we've had, the more I think that it's the right way to go. I'm excited.
Yeah, so it'll be one of those things where we'll just have to dedicate it like a day. Again, it's not going to be huge, even considering smaller than the tiny house.
Yep.
8 by 12 maybe.
I know it's going to freak a lot of people out.
Yeah. But we have our reasonings for that and all that. And for whatever reason, a lot of people have said, Jason, are you going to move the shower bathroom area you built to her side? That would be a huge pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Really and truly, she can walk 3 feet over here and use it until we build something over there. It's not really that big of a deal. It's not like she going to be living a mile away.
Yep.
Same thing with you don't need a huge kitchen or anything. Literally, we're cooking outside every day. This morning she had coffee and breakfast going on the fire out here, so it's not like we're gonna have stoves and huge refrigerators and stuff. So tiny, and I guess not saying that you're gonna do this right now or anything, but in the past you wanted to convert a van.
Exactly.
And travel.
Yep.
So that'd be even smaller than an 8 by 12. So this would kind of transition her between living in a good sized house right now, coming out here, kind of staying in the tiny house, but then getting her own and going even smaller. It would kind of transition her if she ever decided, hey, I still want to get a van, convert it, and travel. I mean, I would assume that's a pretty big goal at some point to do that.
I think it's a huge goal of mine. Again, I think I'm truly learning to ride the wave of life.
Yeah.
Because, again, I thought I should always have so much control over things, and I've realized
you can't.
Life happens, and you definitely don't have control. You only have control over certain factors or your reaction.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm going along with what's happened. I definitely want to do a van. I definitely think this is going to prepare me for that. I know, again, everybody's commenting, go larger, you're going to regret it. No.
This isn't your forever home.
No. And I think that I'll get probably more in depth on my channel with kind of the background story, but I think if you probably knew a little bit more of behind the scenes, you would realize that going smaller or living in a small space isn't abnormal to me. I actually feel like if I look back at my life, I seem to prefer it. So this is just a new thrill and adventure, and going smaller is the way to go.
Yeah, and a lot of people, and it's hard for me to even tell people this, being into my 16, is the less you have, the more freedom you have. Same thing, like if we didn't have animals, I could get on the road, I could go anywhere. I could spend as much time away from here if I want. Of course, I want my animals. That's,
Not saying
what
he doesn't
I'm.
want
That's
them.
not what I'm saying. Someone will take it that way, but it's the same thing with like the less amount of debt you have is the more money in your pocket that you can go do stuff. And that's the thing that's always kind of like made me laugh is a lot of people brag about how much money they make. I'm like, I don't care how much money you make. How much money do you have? You can make $10,000 a month, but if you're spending $9,000 a month in bills, you made $1,000. You didn't make 10,000.
Correct.
You made $1,000, and you could be the same person that maybe makes $1,500, but maybe your bills are only $100. You made more money than the person that made $10,000 at the end of the day because you have $1,400 profit every single month. That's how I see it in my eyes. Is the less you spend, the less you have, the less space and all this stuff, the more freedom you have. And it's almost the same thing like in a van. A lot of people look at people that do the van life and like, ooh, like you kind of ruined your life. You don't have a house, like you don't have nothing to fall back on. But in reality, in my eyes,
Yeah.
the big goal of everybody is to retire and travel.
Yep.
They literally work 40 years of their life
Yeah.
to have the money to travel. So if you could do that at a younger age and go ahead and do it now, you retired early.
Correct.
What mortgage do you have? What bills do you have? You're already in a van. So the same thing crosses over to shed to house, tiny house, micro houses, whatever you want to call it. In my eyes, not everyone thinks the same. There's a lot of people that live the keeping up with the Joneses lifestyle.
Yeah.
That is not for me. I've never been that. I truly thought growing up, everybody has the white picket fence and golden retriever, nice big 2-story house. I thought that's what it was. I didn't know any different. You watch TV shows, you watch movies.
Yeah.
It's just everybody had it. It's all I knew. And then I started thinking like, well, why am I working 40, 60 hours a week for what? Like I don't have time to live my life. So went tiny, went off grid. My bills are slim to none. So uh, yeah, I can make less money because it's more money in my pocket. And so the same thing with Melissa building an 8x12. It might be a little bigger, might be a little smaller. Yeah. We're just saying it may be an 8x12. And you actually went in some that were smaller.
I did.
And you didn't feel like it was too closed in.
Nope. On one of my videos, I went in 8x18. And width-wise, I was okay with it. And I mean, it was long enough. I felt like I could definitely plan out the different spaces. I think that one had some lofts that I think were absolutely pointless. But again, it was a space that when I walked into every single shed and literally kind of planned it out or thought, like, could I visualize? I know one person had made a comment, take some cardboard boxes and like, place your furniture and kind of have a better visual. And that's kind of what I did, just, with my head or in my head. And I stood in place. And I definitely could do it.
Yeah, and it's, again, whenever I started building this, people were like, where's your dining room table going to go? Where's this going to go? And it's like, I don't need a dining room table. I don't need any of that. That's the whole point of going small. I lived in a house with Jared for years. We had a dining room table, never used it. I mean, literally never touched the dining room, ever. Like, ever. It just collected dust. And whenever we still lived in that house, I started measuring out rooms and being like, what could I really live in? And I looked at my room and I was like, I only come in my room to sleep. I have clothes in a closet and I go in there and sleep. I don't spend any more of my time in there other than to change clothes and sleep. And I was like, I can legit do that on the couch. So I started sleeping on the couch, and I slept on the couch for probably like 6 months. and I never went in my room ever, like ever. And so I was like, well, then you cut that off your house. You don't need that. Then you start thinking of your kitchen. Do you really need a huge kitchen? Yes, it's great when you have family over,
Yeah.
friends, big holidays, but you can do the same thing with an outdoor kitchen.
It's so funny. You're literally like speaking the 3 years that I wasn't around. It was like that's my reality.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
it's the reality of it
Yeah.
is you don't need all that. And I, bought a 20-foot travel trailer that was literally 8 feet by 20, and lived in that for I think 8 months, and that wasn't even that bad. The layout I didn't like. I prefer a 10 by 16 with the way I'm going to lay it out rather than an 8 by 20 with the layout it had. It's just a weird layout. That's
what I think about most of those travel trailers.
I get it
and
because they have to put them
yeah.
over the wheels and all that stuff, so you have to work with what you got. But
Yeah.
this, you have an open concept, so it's all how you again react to a situation, and you can think, oh my gosh, I don't have enough closet space. Maybe if it's not how I think, I could wear 3 different pair of clothes for 3 months straight, and it wouldn't bother me. But maybe the big thing you have is clothes. Well, have a decent sized closet, but minimize everything else. You don't need, you customize it to your life. And let's just say you do an 8 by 12, but you want a 4 by 4 closet in there. Well, you just lose space for the other stuff. But maybe you're like, hey, I don't need a very big kitchen, but I don't need a pantry. Let's say I don't need a big pantry. Instead of turn the pantry into a closet rather than filling it up with food, and it's all how you react to the situation, how you handle it, how you customize it to your life.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be a lot of people in this video that are like, oh my gosh, you're making a mistake, don't go too small.
No.
Really and truly, just staying in the 8 by 10 right now. When Melissa came up, she brought a table. We put the table up. We put anything we really needed on the table and underneath the table. Other than that, the rest of it's empty other than tools.
Yeah.
And if we took the tools out, there's nothing else in there other than like the air mattress, which is the size of a bed,
Yeah.
which are still room.
Yeah.
So it's not that bad in the grand scheme of things. It's just depends on your lifestyle and what you like and don't like. So I know, again, there's going to be some people kind of complaining and telling Melissa she's going too small for your liking. As long as Melissa's happy, it fits your budget, your lifestyle, your plan. Again, this is not her future or forever home.
Correct.
Not future
It
home, but
fits
forever home.
life now.
Yeah.
Again, we can plan to retire in 40 years, work our butts off to get to that point, and one day life could absolutely change, and all that hard work could be for nothing.
I know a lot of people during this time right now lost their jobs, losing their house, losing everything, and they had the set career.
Yep.
They lost everything. So it's unfortunate, but life can hit you with the curveball.
And a lot of those people I know are now, I mean, they're in a hard spot. Again,
Oh, yeah.
like you just said, when you're making $10,000 a month, you're spending $9,000, all of a sudden it's down to zero, in a sense. Now what's happening?
Yep.
Now how do you keep up with that lifestyle?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I haven't been that extreme with things or to that point, but in a smaller scale, I've kind of been there. I've watched my parents, I've watched friends, family, everybody go through their moments, and being someone who's been very close and involved in life, other than my own, I've witnessed and kind of just firsthand experienced it with them, and that's why I'm making the choices that I am. And like you said, living in a room and realizing kind of what was essential and where you really spent most of your time and what you were doing. I mean, I had done the same thing. I had went into an apartment and thought I was gonna, oh, it's nice and big, large, like all this extra space. I ended up spending most of the time on the couch where my TV was.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had my phone or my laptop there. They're small. The couch is big enough. Gypsy and I were there every single night and day.
Yeah.
The kitchen, I mean, it was a kitchen. I utilized one little corner space and did my thing. And
Just like everyone, they have their favorite burner on the stove.
yeah,
That's all they use.
yeah,
Unless you're cooking for a huge family.
that is so true.
You know, and again, it's different. This is what you guys have to realize is we're both single, no kids, no, like this is it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, today, and I mean, we've talked, she's not leaving today, but if
Kicking
she
me out.
wanted to up and leave today and move across country, she could. She has nothing holding her back. She has, nothing of that nature. And so we talked about this kind of at the beginning when you first came up. And we kind of started talking about shed the house, her own little thing, or even, her being here. And I was like, if you get your own, like, say she gets her own shed house, tiny house, whatever you want to call it over here, and she says, I want to convert a van and go travel for a month and then come back for a week or 2 weeks, travel for a month. It's here. It's not going the it's there. It's paid off. Like, you don't have to go in crazy debt over it. It's the whole aspect of living tiny is you can just leave it, especially
Yeah.
off grid. You're not paying a water bill, you're not paying an electric bill. You literally, if
Yeah.
you do it with the money you have, you can walk away, not walk away forever, but you can leave it for a good amount of time, come back, and it'll be exactly how you left it with no money being spent every month. And so
Mm.
it is difficult living off grid, but it has its real perks. And, you know, again, I could leave right now and come back a month from now and I didn't spend a dime extra. No electric, no water.
Yeah.
As long as no one came out here and did anything, it would be exactly how it was. Nothing will change. So that's what I was telling Melissa. I said, you know, I know this isn't going to be your forever home, but I know that she did want to convert a van and travel. So if we get you a spot that's there, you can leave all your stuff. You're going to, because a lot of people put their stuff in storage buildings.
Correct.
They pay forever, like
Mm-hmm.
literally forever, never touch their stuff because they forget about it because it's in a storage
Uh-huh.
unit, or it just has to sit there because you have nowhere to put it. So if you get rid of everything you don't want and then you have what you need in your tiny house, shed the house, whatever you want to call it, and you leave, well, then you come back and it's still there. And that, in my eyes, is the best plan because the land's paid off here. You're paying as you go to build your house. Then you leave on your vacation or whatever it may be, work trip, whatever, and you come back and you're in the same position. You
Mm-hmm.
still have exactly what you had, no money out of it. I don't understand why more people don't do that. To me, it's common sense, but my mom always says common sense ain't so
Ain't so
common.
common. Yep.
So, again, it in
On
my
that shirt
eyes,
that say that.
yeah, in my eyes, it's more about how much are you willing to sacrifice, and we've kind of talked about sacrificing a lot of stuff. Um, if you're willing to sacrifice a lot, you can get a lot further in life. I'm a big believer in that. I've lived that lifestyle for a long time, and I pretty much sacrificed everything I have to be where I'm at right now. And in the grand scheme of things, people are like, "Oh, you have a tent and an unfinished tiny house. You're not really living life."
But
I,
difference
yeah,
of opinions.
yes. I think personally I'm better off than a lot of people because again, right now with everything kind of going downhill, I know personally a lot of people thinking, "How am I going to pay my bills?" And all I'm thinking is, "How am I going to buy some more lumber to add to what I already have?" So really, in the grand scheme of things, I have less worries than the average person right now. So yeah, it's pretty much it. It was a little bit longer coffee Crockers, but kind of throwing it out there. Again, Melissa will go in more detail on hers about her plans and stuff, what she's going to do with hers. We got to run in town right now, get some windows. We're going to put windows in.
We're actually gonna do some work today.
Yeah, and so a lot of you guys kind of busted my butt and saying stuff, like when are you ever going to work? You can't get anything done, blah, blah, blah. I get you'll be seeing a little bit less videos, more work. Some of you are going to kind of be upset with that, but that's fine. Uh, it's I think where it needs to be at this point. So we'll be posting really good, solid videos. You may not get as many, but you can still watch Cop to Crockers every day. Um, Melissa's channel is going to be probably putting out more videos than the Crockers as of right now. So yeah, you'll still be getting a lot of everything, just
In a different way.
yes. So
In a different perspective, I guess.
there you go. So, but I think you guys are gonna like it with the vision that is going on with this. So we'll see y'all later on the next copy of the Crockers,
Take a breath.
Melissa's channel, and then the Crockers. So gotta run in town, get some stuff. See y'all guys later.
Bye, guys.